The reason for not allowing people to imitate the companions and the pious predecessors or the prophets, for the fact that it would just bring them down to a very simple and normal level, whereby their high and lofty status would be tainted. Not now, but slowly. The first step would be to just glorify them and imitate and copy their style, replay their stories, and and it is normally done by the people who would subsequently not known to be the most pious, even if they are good people. So slowly and slowly, people would relate that individual. The minute you think about certain people in the history which have been dramatized by someone in films and in different dramas, that individual would come in your mind, and that on its own is a big disservice. And we know that individual is not even a practicing person. He's perhaps a big sinner or even a disbeliever. To then have a pious personality imitated by someone who is quite bad generally, or he might never be good ever, it gives a very wrong impression, since the next generation would look up to them and perhaps follow them. Oh, he's him. Let's see. Oh, he's that. The second issue with this is slowly and slowly bringing them down to this level, initially with the pious people, companions, subsequently be the prophets, and finally Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that by consensus is not permissible, because you are saying that this is that person, even in a role play, and that's a lie anyway. So generally, we shouldn't be imitating anyone. Is highly discouraged by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said we shouldn't copy or imitate others. So we are now following their lifestyle, showing that I am that person and behaving like that, even in dramas or film. And in between doing all the wrong things and haram things, because it would carry on for however long. So the idea is that we should keep the doors closed, which if open would lead up to many haram subsequently. Then they would start doing the same with pious people, and then whatever they found something not that great uh, in those personalities, or any personality which is a very private thing, maybe that may be a very amazing stuff, but yet not understood by the people, maybe not for the small kids, maybe not for the all the different things that good personalities, you cannot um copy them by someone whose life is not living up to that standard. That is why we keep them at a lofty status. So the imagination about them for the believers is that they are, mashallah, saintly, very pious and practicing people. Look at what happened to the Christianity, how they have initially initiated in the same way to honor them, because these are saintly people, and now they have got all sorts of different forms and pictures, and it has now come into idolatry. Even the idols have been made with them, the sculptures, and they are hanging even in the churches and in the marketplace, wherever they could put them, and no respect. People are committing sin right in front of those pictures, those public uh, places, hanging with someone who is not their mahram, drinking alcohol, committing music, listening to music, mixed gathering, or whatever they do. So that would lead up to this idea of normalization of everything which is sanctified. So that becomes the first door. So you start off here, but lead up to ultimately mocking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what they do. So this is how slowly and slowly it would creep in the Muslim Ummah. So people should not entertain such ideas, and it should never ever replace, because it will replace ultimately the books. Why would people read books when they can have the dramas? See, people stop reading books nowadays. Just listen to YouTube. Even for Quranic translation, they don't have time to listen to read Quran, or the translation or the tafsir. They would rather go with the online whatever. So it is extremely bad and wrong idea. to even entertain those thoughts. One should run away from that, because if you can't contribute to the propagation of Islam, don't cause any disservice to Islam by giving wrong impression and creating something which the Ummah never did. Now, are we responsible for propagating such thing in such lights? Have you found any ulama doing it? The scholars ever, I mean, the traditional scholars, qualified one, the one unbroken chains is linked to them. You would not find them doing it. So why should we be taking up a responsibility that, if it turn out to be bad, as it will be, regardless, no matter what, and many would do anyway. So why you want to be part of that? And then you would continue to accumulate the sin of that, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever initiates a bad action, so whoever follows that action up to the end of time, that initiator would continue to reap the sin of that. It's like we get the sadaqah jariyah, we get the sin, perpetual sin, guna jariyah. So clearly, don't be part of that, inshallah ta'ala.